Down, 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 down. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Maybe we shouldn't start out with that intro. Okay, this is
No, no, keep going.
this is the CK reviews, and I'm Caleb, and this is,
Christine.
and today we're reviewing one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite newer movies, I should say, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. And I gotta tell you what, after seeing this movie, I just immediately wanted to make love to Tim Burton and Johnny Depp. Because this movie is so incredibly awesome. Don't you agree?
This movie was amazing.
I mean, this is one of those movies, you go to see it, and I was completely transported into kind of like this really sick, twisted sort of world that this Broadway play had actually brought out. And what's so interesting is that this is like the first slasher movie that I can think of that was brought to you in musical form. I mean, it's like the
Yeah.
world's classiest slasher film.
It really is.
Even though he's like this psychopath killer, you're kind of like, I was rooting it for him for the first 2/3 of the movie until like the last third where things get kind of so sick and twisted that you can't really root for him anymore. But during the first 2/3, I was like, yeah, they all deserve to die. Go eat them, Johnny Depp. Eat them raw. These musical numbers are incredible. I mean, there's so many people bash Johnny Depp because he couldn't sing. I personally think he does a really good job here, considering that he has no prior musical ability. Like, he's not a singer at all, and he did a really bang up job. That being considered, he wasn't a Broadway star. He wasn't a singer. He's an actor. And the thing is, when he sings, he's acting. In so many other Broadway musical films, when people are singing, they're singing, and there's not any sort of like character to it. It's like, have you seen some of the musicals where like they'll be acting as their character until they start singing, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
it's like the character is completely lost, and you're like, WTF? What just happened here? Here in this movie, Johnny Depp stays so in character. It is so intense. I love Sweeney Todd. You end up falling in love with this guy. You really do.
Well, I have to agree with just about everything you said, really. Um, as far as the voice goes, I hear so many complaints about that. It is ridiculous. There's a complete difference between singing on a stage and singing for a movie. The uh, work you have to do, the voice projection needs to be on top if you're singing on a stage, and not so much if you're doing a voiceover or recording in a movie. That's just that. I don't think they did a bad job of singing the songs. I thought they did a really great job, even considering they hadn't done anything like that before.
Yeah, totally. And what about Helena Bottom Carter? I mean, oh my God, she did a good job in this movie.
That was crazy.
She, if you're not into this sort of kind of twisted movie, the musical numbers are so good, and there's some genuine heart here, and I think people tend to overlook this because a lot of times when you ask somebody how the movie was, they go, "Oh, it was so bloody. There's so much blood," and there's so much more to this movie than just gore. It's a really genuinely good movie. And in my opinion, one of the best movie musicals ever made. I'm just going to go out there and say it.
You know, the other thing I really enjoyed about this was the different portrayal of characters. If you've seen this on stage, or if you've seen the original Sweeney Todd that there was, it was played by Angela Lansbury. That was who played Mrs. Lovett.
And she did a
And
fantastic job.
she really did a great job, but it was almost a completely different character. I mean, it's the same character, but just portrayed a completely different way. The original Mrs. Lovett was almost annoying and just obnoxious. But she was great, you know. That was who she was, and this Mrs. Lovett is completely different. She's still, you know, obviously a little crazy in the head.
Whacked.
Yeah, but she is a completely different Mrs. Lovett, and I really love that change of character. It's the same thing with Toby, because on the stage he was portrayed more so as an older kid with probably mentally challenged of some sort. And in this, he was a younger kid, and I mean, it was great. I love both the versions. I love the different portrayal of characters, and I love what they brought to the screen.
So, Christine, what would you rank this movie on a scale of 1 to 5 Mrs. Lovett meat pies?
Oh, wow, that's tough. 4 3/4 of Mrs. Lovett meat pies.
Mm-mm-mm. I'm honestly going to have to go with a 4.5 on this one because I really love the movie. I mean, I think this is absolutely a phenomenal movie. But I only give 5 stars to, like, real masterpieces. And unfortunately, this isn't the type of movie that should receive 5 stars. I'm not saying that as like a negative critique, but 5 stars is something that you give to like This Generation's Gone with the Wind or Lord of the Rings or something of that caliber. And this isn't an epic
You know
by
what?
any stretch.
I'm changing mine to 5 Mrs. Lovett meat pies.
And I'm sticking with 4.5 Mrs. Lovett meat pies. Alright, so this was the CK Reviews, and we're signing out. Say goodbye to the people, Christine.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, our lovers. Goodbye, our friends. You have been the ones. You have been the ones for us.